Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome to our 2021 Holiday Planning Webinar. I'm Duff Ferguson, founder partner of Amplitude Digital, in business here in Los Angeles since 2004. Also with me today is Jeff Ferguson, who's no relation, but also my partner and head of production here at Amplitude. So say hello, Jeff.
Hello, hello. See you all.
Before we begin, just a few quick admin items. First, thank you very much for joining us. And please feel free to ask any questions or comment nicely in the chat box as we go. We'll if anything that occurs to you, we will also take questions at the end for anyone that has any questions. We'll also be distributing the slides that you see at the end. So anything that you see as far as data will be in there for you to see. So feel free just to watch or take notes as you choose. Anything else you can think of, Jeff?
I know. I'm ready to rock.
All right, that sounds good. So here at the start, I just want to say a couple words about Jeff so you know who you're hearing from today. He's had many lives in 25 years of digital marketing. He's led online marketing efforts for Hilton Hotels, Kimberly-Clark, Belkin, Billabong, eHarmony, Fabletics, Manchester United, PetSmart. There's like a lot of really cool names. He's seen it all and really honestly knows how to prepare for holidays over many different kinds of cycles. And so just very glad to have Jeff here today to share his wisdom with us. And thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
But enough about us. Today we're covering three areas that we really want to know and focus in on for the next 3 months. And the first is just the overall forecast for consumer behavior, particularly on the e-commerce side. The second is what is the timing of the holiday spending? What's the historical pattern? How is it changing? And third, most importantly, what are the critical areas to prepare for? What do we suggest as far as getting your digital marketing in order for this critical period of the year? So let me go ahead and kick off a new slide here. And hopefully everyone can see that. So holiday surge is coming. The Amazon Prime Day this year was very successful. Definitely, they expect an overall rise in retail sales, though there's also still a lot of Delta consideration going around, uncertainty about what's going to happen. Definitely, a lot of the consulting firms see that more people will kind of be experimenting with going out and shopping in person, but the cat is really kind of out of the bag. Maybe that's the right metaphor as far as people being really comfortable about shopping and planning to do quite a bit of their shopping during this holiday period online. And they have a lot to spend this year, and the preparation needs to happen early. One of the stats I saw, and also just mentioned at this point that any of the stats you see, I have references with links at the end of this presentation, which you'll get, so you can see where this data is coming from. These are well-known consulting companies and forecasters of data like this. But 88% of consumers plan to spend at least as much or more online this season. The consulting companies are expecting anywhere between a 10 and a 35% rise in e-commerce sales. So this 3-month period over last year. So as Mastercard has said that the holiday season will be defined by early shopping, the price tags, shopping will be bigger, and digital experiences will hopefully be richer and more fun for people because we'll have another year of experience behind us. Right. Anything else you want to add at this point, Jeff?
Well, just to kind of like tie into the point you made about the fact that, the cat's out of the bag. I always kind of like to say that, we're not getting this genie back in the bottle at this point. And like, I remember, we had this conversation last year about some of this planning and things like that. And now it was, that was going to be a remarkable year. We could tell it was already going to be weird. It was going to be much bigger than we thought it was going to be from an e-commerce standpoint, just because so many people were stuck at home. However, now we're on the other side of that, and we've still got these, obviously said the Delta variant concerns and things like that. But what's also happened is that a bunch of people that used to never touch the e-commerce side of things are going to stick with it. All right, they're gonna keep buying from online. They're not going to go back. They see everything about the idea of outside of the Christmas sales and the all the decoration stuff. Like, why on earth would I dream of going out to a big mall or fighting everything on Black Friday or doing all that kind of stuff to it? And the crazy thing I think this year that is kind of interesting because obviously it's not last year when things were looking really dour. We're obviously there's concerns, but we're heading into a better path. Things are looking much better. Economy's picking up, all those kind of things to it. And what we kind of could tell already is that we've got a bunch of people who spent the last 18 months basically not doing a lot of things that they would use with their disposable income on. And so no travel, no buying new cars, no bunch of other stuff. So all these things kind of just sat there and they're sitting on a pile of cash. All right. And I've heard from a couple different sources there, basically, the collective sum of there is that you've got a bunch of people that have got like about $1 billion collectively in savings. And we have a feeling that this money is going to come out during the holidays. They're aching for it. It'll start with Halloween, especially since Halloween's going to feel like people are actually going to be able to go out this year, enjoy it and things like that. But with the other stuff, when it comes to gift buying or even just buying for yourself or whatever, and taking advantage of the sales, kind of like I do, it's just going to be like massive. I don't think it's going to hit them. And the real interesting thing, and I always kind of bring this up, I bring it up at the classes I teach at UCLA, I bring it up to clients all the time, is that even though as e-commerce feels like it's a giant thing, a lot of times it feels like it's the biggest thing in the world. You hear about Amazon every day. We're getting packages from Amazon all the time, things like that. So you must say like this be massive as far as the amount of e-commerce activity that actually happens in this country. But the funny thing is that before the pandemic, so we're talking like 2019, the percentage of sales, of retail sales that were actually happening online were only about 12%. And last year, when we actually kind of were forced to buy more on the digital side of things to it pushed up to like 15-16%, right? So which is a lot. I mean, we're still talking about millions, if not billions of dollars that kind of went in that direction to it, but it's still not all of it, right? So it's still not over there. So there's plenty of room to grow. There's still plenty of people that are coming into it and jumping on this thing. And a lot of it has to do with retailers being prepared and having the ability to actually like help these people that are coming to look for it. So that's what we're here about today, is to make sure that everybody's got their collective digital acts together, so that when people come looking for things, that our clients and our friends are the ones that are prepared.
I love that. Okay, let's move on then to this perfect time to move on to this next slide, which is some great, interesting stuff that's just actually been released in the last couple of weeks. Basically, the holiday forecast from Deloitte, Alix Partners, KPMG, Bain & Company. KPMG is probably the most aggressive as far as their expectations. Deloitte, Alix, and Bain are kind of in the same zone of roughly maybe 10% rise. But I think Deloitte's expectation is $200 billion to be spent on e-commerce alone in the next 3 months. So kind of the message is the same. We're going to be kind of like a broken record today. The spending will be increased. It'll probably happen earlier than we expect, and it just pays to be as prepared as possible within your area to reap as much of that harvest as possible. Any comments on that, Jeff?
This is amazing. I know we're going to be talking about it more in there, but the advice about starting early, we can't stress that enough. It seems like I say that every year. Sometimes it becomes a joke about how soon we see all the things kind of in the stores, and sometimes that's kind of annoying and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean that we can't be prepared on our end. There's steps that we could be taking. There's planning. There's having things in place. The making sure that when it comes time to actually do things, it's more about flipping a switch than it is scrambling and trying to get new creative and things like that. So that's the big point we really want to stress here, is that if you don't have it out there, if you don't have something in place already at the point, somebody else will.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, then let's talk about that exact topic. So this is something that has not yet been updated for this year, for 2020, as I've found, but it'll probably be out in the next few weeks. We just didn't want to wait any longer. So you're actually looking at 2019. This is now, 2020 was earlier, and 2020 might be even earlier. But Cyber Week is definitely a big part of the spending curve for the holidays. But quite a bit happens in the week before, people getting ahead with early bird offers. Mm-hmm. Quite a bit happens after, and it's an early flow. So people are getting out there, they have a set amount they want to spend, a set amount that they're things they're looking to get. And so it just, again, being prepared as a business, but also to prepare with all the creative and everything that needs to be just nicely set in place to take maximum advantage of what might be a few short days.
Absolutely. So obviously we can speak from experience here. Last year we had a lot of e-commerce clients that were running things to it. We could feel the difference on this one. In this case, it said 40% of overall holiday spending was during Cyber Week. I claim that had to be bigger last year. We certainly felt it. We certainly saw that money flow through from the accounts that we can look at. It was already there. But I mean, even then, just the numbers you can see, even from a 2019 standpoint, before things were weird, saying that half of the season sales take place by December. That means that these things are happening in October and they're happening in November, right? So like by the time you get to December, I'm not saying it's too late. Obviously, there's always going to be a bunch of people that are running around, still trying to get gifts at the last minute, still trying to take advantage of it. But I have to say, like we saw last year, all the supply chain issues that we ran into last year, they're still not fixed. Right. I mean, they're still struggling with getting a hold of everything. All the shipping things still aren't perfect yet. Everybody doesn't have their collective acts together from the disbursement kind of side of things to it. So you have to get it out there early. And the smart ones, your smart clients, I mean, they're starting now. I mean, October, they're going to be thinking about holiday shopping and they're going to be looking at those things and they're going to get it. And it's going to go in that one weird room in your house where you hide everything for the holidays. But like, it's going to happen. And you need to make sure that you've got stuff prepared for those people to buy it right away. And make sure you give them a nice break on it because they are your early birds.
Yeah, that is something that all the consulting companies were emphasizing is supply chain issues will get kind of nutty. And so that I think a lot of the message that people are getting in the consumer media will be, if you really need something by Christmas shipped to a certain spot, just start early and be prepared for things to mess up or be sold out or not available or just can't get through the supply chain. So they're going to be getting that message too. Something that we often recommend too is the kind of the pre-sale where it's for members only type of thing where people get the deals before, beat the rush, and just kind of taking people to the environment of your offers before Cyber Week arrives and just kind of take that right off the table for them so they feel taken care of. But also you don't miss out to other people that are other companies that are marketing harder later. Glad to give you suggestions as we can for that.
Yeah, I'm starting to see stuff already. I mean, you know me, I collect records and vinyl and things like that. And I'm starting to see holiday vinyl like show up and things because they know they haven't even like pressed it yet. These are all pre-order type of stuff, but they know people are going to tick those boxes. They're going to order it. It's going to take a while to get to them, but they basically said, look, if you want to have these records in people's hands so they can actually play them at the holidays, we got to start this process now. There's no way we can wait this long and go out and pick it up. It's just not going to happen. So.
All right. Well, I think you guys got that message hammered home here. So let's bring us now to just the meat, Jeff. What I would like you to get into is just what's the universe of things that people should look at, the known knowns, the known unknowns, and how to be best prepared at this stage.
Absolutely. So yeah, this is the meat and potatoes here. This is the 4-course dinner. This is the big deluxe turkey dinner that you've been waiting for in this one as far as advice goes. So I'm going to stick with this slide for a long time. We run through a lot of stuff here, but don't worry. Like I said, we're recording this. We're going to send the slides out later, so don't feel like you got to take too many notes. But feel free to ask any questions, anything like that. It's something we can definitely hail out. So I'm going to start up here in that upper left-hand quadrant about targeting and things like that, because I feel like the audiences do shift a little bit during this time of year, right? You've got a bunch of new people that aren't your typical shoppers. You're not the shoppers that are constantly buying things online. You've got a whole new batch of people that are stepping into this thing. So you may want to rethink things a little bit, maybe open things up a little bit more, go a little wider with some of the targeting that's out there. Think bigger. This is the opportunity to really kind of like acquire some new customers that you usually wouldn't get into and get them hooked on the habit nice and early. One of the things you want to make sure you do is really maximize that retargeting. So this is the time that it's a good time to build all the first party data. That's getting more people signed up for your newsletter, getting more people to the website early so that they become part of those remarketing lists, so that you can tag them later on with different messages with new offers and things like that. So the idea of kind of like waiting the last minute to hit them with a bunch of stuff because that's when the bigger offer comes, it may already be too late. Start now. Start as early as possible. Build up those lists. Build up those audiences, and it gives you a nice big pool to kind of work with. And then you can take advantage of the cheaper impressions that you can get through remarketing because you're targeting people that have already been in wherever they may end up. And it's not about trying to find them like in the right space, in the right contextual moment, things like that. You got them already on the hook. It's the second, it's the third, it's the fourth kind of contact point. And that's where you hit them with the offers. That's where you remind them that they looked at something cool not too long ago. So hit them early, crank those budgets way sooner than you think you're going to need to, because now's the time to really collect that stuff out. Don't be afraid to showcase those holiday products. I mean, you don't have to go all in on this kind of stuff, right? You don't need to, have the snow falling on the front page or anything just yet, because it's kind of weird, especially here in Los Angeles where it's still 90 degrees. But you can start to push those things to the front of the store a little bit. Maybe have a little corner notched out on there. Maybe have a new link on the homepage that kind of leads to the holiday collection. But have that holiday collection ready to go. Have it at least on the site so people can look at it. All those types of things too. I know we've got a lot of folks from Stitch in Heaven on here, which is, they're the craft people, whatever it is. They need time to make that stuff, right? So now's the time to actually get that stuff out in front of their face so they can buy it early, so they have time to make it. Make those stockings, make those hats, all that kind of fun stuff to it. So get out there way early on the stuff. You also want to make sure you're updating all those keywords and audiences as well. From the keywords, obviously, is from the paid search campaigns that we do for a lot of our clients. And now's the time to actually expand that out a little bit too. There may be some terms that you usually don't touch for the rest of the year that actually have to do specifically with holidays, specifically to do with gift ideas. Right. So in those kind of terms, people do crazy enough. They literally type into the search engines, great gift ideas or great gift ideas for grandma or great gift or whatever it is. Now's the time to actually make sure that you've got those associated out and you're actually hitting those things out. They're going to get really competitive in a while. And if you do it nice and early, you can build up a lot of memory. So that by the time that everybody else tries to creep into this area to it, Google already knows you, and you can build up your quality score and everything else you need to do. So start that sooner, way before everybody else. Lookalikes is another one. I know lookalikes is kind of a new concept to some of you out there. But again, this is that idea. If you build up audiences of existing customers now, right? So there's people that your big buyers, you can actually take that information, give it back to Facebook, give it back to Google, give it back to a lot of different platforms. In fact, and those systems will use machine learning and go through and come back and say, hey, look, I'm going to find millions of people that look just like those people that already bought from you and target them again, right? And it just opens that audience up like crazy. So again, but you have to build the audience up now to actually do it. You have to start collecting that information early on. If that means putting a new pixel on your site for programmatic or something along those lines, do it way early so we can collect that information a lot sooner than everything else. Speaking of programmatic, now's the time to actually start investigating those platforms, those programmatic offers, those direct buys. Programmatic, I know just about everybody likes to stay in the safety zone of doing things on paid search and paid social. It's all about Google and Facebook. They're the big guys on the street. They're easy. They're safe. They feel comfortable kind of stuff. You have a feeling, everybody that's up there, it's a good way to do it. But there's a whole wide world of websites that are out there that you're not touching just yet. It could be with programmatic solutions, basically let you get to all those things. You can do it with display. You can do it with video. Heck, these days we can actually get you on streaming audio. So if you wanted to show up on Spotify and Pandora and things like that, if you wanted to show up on streaming television, right? If you actually wanted to run on Hulu, or if you wanted to run on all these other stations that actually stream ads and things these days, we can get you there with your existing ads, with your existing creative. It's not that hard, right? These days it's so much easier than what it used to be back when I used to have to buy television for clients, or I'd have to buy radio spots and stuff like that. These days it's just setting it up and we can get you there like within a week. It's crazy how easy this kind of stuff is. And the budgets are incremental usually is what we suggest, but it's one of the things where they're not a major investment. It's not something where we're going to come in and ask you for hundreds of thousands of dollars or anything like that. If you want to take this time as a way to put your toe in the water, now's a great time to do it. The audiences are there. And don't forget about the direct buys, right? This is something where we're a full service media agency over here at Amplitude. We can get you anywhere you want to go. So for those things where if you want to go on super specialized sites for your target audience, we can get you there. If it has to do with the entertainment industry, it has to do with specialized hobbies, it has to do with all kinds of those things, we can get you there. And I also want to point out, don't forget all those other social media options that are out there. I know, again, they love to stick with the Facebook and Instagram combo. It's easy. It's a good way to do it. They feel it can do it. But I can't stress enough that Pinterest is a fantastic option, especially for holiday shopping. It is 80% women still up in this thing to it. We actually, I got one of these great notes the other day to where just about every target audience you can think of is there, right? And they may not necessarily have the same volume as some of the other platforms to it, but they're there, they're looking at it, they're engaged, and they're usually in the right mindset to be, taking the action for what you're actually doing, especially if you're in certain categories like crafts and home decorating. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, it's kind of remarkable that everybody's not doing it. We feel like it's like a secret weapon every time that we mention that one, for sure. So that's that angle. Anything else, Duff, you want to add to that one? From the chat room there, any other questions specifically about targeting? Anything else that you think needs to be said or anything like that?
Not from me. I'm loving this. I'd say please keep on going. You
got it. All right. Chat audience, feel free to chime in. Anything you want to do on this one, we can certainly answer your questions as we go. Otherwise, I'm going to jump to the right here over to offers. So again, offers is a great time. This is a great time to actually make sure you start putting your best offers forward on these things. People kind of tend to hold back on offers. It's kind of a reverse the way you should do it. And what we suggested last year, and it worked for a lot of our clients, we're suggesting again this year, is take advantage of the fact that you've got these house lists. You've got email lists. We can actually, we obviously don't use the email list because we don't do that type of work for you, whatever. But now's the time to actually send out those early announcements to your existing customers to let you know that you've got special offers for them, and basically take advantage of those early bird shoppers. Say, come on in. Now's the time to do this stuff. They'll share it with their friends. They'll come up your website. And again, it's an opportunity to kind of like build that pool up of first-party information, so more people join in, and it lets us, for your other campaigns and things like that, target them again through marketing or whatever it is. But we can also take all those other, lists that you have. If you've got a house list that you use for newsletters or other type of activities to it, we can actually upload those lists into Facebook and Google and all those kind of things and target those things specifically with specialized offers that are just for them. So only those people will see them. And you got that opportunity to basically say, hey, look, special, secret, early bird special for our best customers, right? Ever hit these things, give them a nice big deal, get them in there early. Don't make them wait for the doorbuster type of stuff all the way when you get to Black Friday. Get those things on there right now. It's the opportunity to really get in front of some people that are your biggest fans already. Treat them like your biggest fans. Give them a nice deal that they can't get anywhere else. And then when it comes time to the real big dogs, the big time over, we're talking Cyber Week or whatever like that. Don't be afraid to go out early, right? It's like, it's nothing saying that you have to wait literally till Black Friday to see this stuff. You've seen other retailers already that push that line on where Black Friday starts all the way out to Monday or the weekend before. Sometimes they'll start sneaking it up on the website and, not telling anybody about it. And you'll probably no doubt notice that there's like different publications and things like that are starting to notice that and pushing those things forward as well. So now's the time to kind of like just fall into that trend. Go ahead and do it. There's no need to wait, right? I know sometimes you do wait because this is discounted material and things like that, but it doesn't matter. You got to remember that people might come in for one sale item and pick up 4 other things at regular prices. It's just usually the way this type of things works, and now's the time to get into it. And then what else we got here? Look at bundles. Bundles is another fantastic opportunity here. You can basically combine a lot of your items together. You can combine, 2 or 3 of your best selling type of items with a few others that usually you need to help move in that time frame. But there's all types of like nice little retail organizations to do it. Now is also a good time to start pushing those month club type things, or the boxes is what they get called now. If you've got this type of thing. So I know we've got some clients here that does those type of things with quilt squares, but there's also a few other things that are out there where it's a great time to actually introduce those programs because people love them, and it's one of those gifts that kind of keep going all year long. All right. Anything else on that one? Anything you want to add on that one, Jeff?
I don't think so. Yeah, I really love what you were saying about bringing out your best offers early. I think in the old days, maybe it's more the idea you get a little bit here, a little bit more, a little bit more, but people tend to go out and once they've done it, they're finished with that particular part of their shopping. So you really want to lean into your customers and make sure they really get the best deals of the year and feel like they're getting access to something that normal customers don't. It just makes them feel really excited and very taken care of and engaged with the business.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, I'd say move on, please.
All right. So now we're going to go down on these bottom two segments out there, maybe a little less exciting than targeting offers and things like that, but they're still very important. I do want to start with testing, right? So some of the things where this is a great time for testing. It's one of the things where one of the things that you need to do proper testing is an audience, and you need a lot of audience, right? So no time than any other time throughout the year, most likely, are you going to be generating as many impressions or as many visits or anything along those times. So now is the time to actually do some testing. You can definitely do the testing with the advertisement. We've got lots of different platforms that can help it do. Both Google and Facebook now have these fantastic dynamic automated platforms that you can do where you don't even have to do the heavy lifting anymore. You can actually give them a collection of different pieces of creative, so different backgrounds, different hero shots, different ad copy, all that kind of stuff to it. In Facebook case, you can get up to like 30 different variations 30 different pieces that you can give it to it. With Facebook, you can give it like up to 15 different headlines and I think it's about 30 different descriptions you can do it. And then Google and Facebook actually use this great machine learning technology to go through and actually Frankenstein all this information together and make the perfect ad, right? And the cool thing about it is it doesn't just make the one perfect ad, right? It's not like it used to be the old A/B testing where like one is the winner out of this thing. What it actually does is look at all these combinations and which ones work for specific audiences, right? So it might be like, hey, look, this combination of different pieces work really great for this part of the country. This combination of the pieces work better for another part of the country. This might work for, who knows, the people are into like one hobby or into another hobby or whatever it is. The men like this one, the women like this one. There's all kinds of different variations to it, age, all kinds of things. It just goes on and on. So you don't necessarily have to limit it, and you don't necessarily have to worry about, worrying about what the winner comes out to be. You just get to kind of see it happen in front of you because these systems actually put together that perfect ad right in front of you and show it to the right time without you actually have to go through and recreate it over and over again. And you can see the results on your own. You can use them all the other places where you don't have that kind of technology in place for sure, but the cool thing about it is, again, you've got so much to play with as far as the ad impressions go. So many more opportunities to show these things out there. So many more opportunities to learn, I guess is the best way to put it. So take advantage of these times. It's the fantastic time to do these things. It's also the fantastic time to really kind of optimize your media mix, right? So, excuse me, it's the great time to actually, again, try something new. People can be very timid when it comes to media. They know it works. They don't really want to trust anything new. It's scary. We get it. It's your money. You don't want to, throw it out or throw it away. But now is the time to actually get out there and build that audience up and try some new things. And the impressions are out there. The people are out there. Give it a shot. It's a perfect time to try these types of new things. And let's see. I think that's it for that one. And then on the technology side, I did want to give a couple of points on here is that you need to make sure your house is in order. Your technology house is in order for the big rush, right? It's just kind of like with the old days when you're talking about retail and stuff like that. You have to make all the decorations in place. You have to make sure you have all the supplies, all the inventory, things like that. When it comes to the technology side of your house, right? You need to make sure that all these are in place to make sure you take this new technology rush that's going to happen on there. So you want to do test for load speed times and for errors and for caching and make sure that, you work out all the details with your hosting provider to make sure that, hey, if there's a sudden onslaught of new people that are coming to your website, that it's not going to shut everything down, right? It happens all the time. You've seen it, right? Make sure that everything's working on mobile. That's a big one. 70% of searches these days are actually starting on mobile devices these days. But the problem is they're still getting to websites that aren't mobile optimized, right? Now's the time to actually make sure that these things work so these people can check it out. People are dying to buy things on their mobile phone. Half the time they're doing it when they're standing in somebody else's store and they're going to check your store for a better price, and they would make that purchase right in that moment if they could, if they had the option to, if the website didn't stink so bad, right? It just happens over and over again. They don't do it because they can't do it, right? That's there. So don't get in their way. As I always like to say around here, never get in the way when people are trying to spend money. It's a missed opportunity for sure. Make sure you've got everything else in order as far as information goes. So make sure you update all your shipping times. Make sure you kind of take advantage of the fact there's going to be a lag. There's going to be a glut. Again, going back to the idea of we've still got those shipping problems that are out there. Not everything is just coming as fast as they want there. It's a little bit better, but it's not all the way there yet. You want to make sure that you're testing all your checkout platforms, all your forms. If you've got chat systems that are built in, and make sure that's still working. Test. Make sure these things are all in place so that nothing falls apart. And then make sure you go out and secret shop those landing pages that you're doing out there. Make sure that they actually work. Make sure that they show up properly. And don't just do it from like the confines of your of your offices when you've got all that high-speed internet. Do it from your phone when you're way out near the house, when your reception is what it usually is. Do it on your mother's phone, as I always like to say. That's usually the slowest thing in the room. Do it on their computer. Make sure these things show up. Do it on somebody's tablet. Make sure this stuff actually works for the people that are honestly going to be making these purchases. Don't do it in the pristine example of everything on your test environment. Test it with the worst case scenarios, so those people can actually make sure it works. With that, I think we hit everything, unless you got anything more to add.
I think that really covers it. Just to say that obviously we're throwing a lot of different ideas at you. It may or may not be appropriate for your business where it is, but this is an open offer, of course, to talk with us about your specific situation, how we can help energize any of these particular ideas, just to help you reap as much possible benefit out of the holidays as possible. We just try to be flexible and roll with the way in which the internet rolls, and being very careful and focused in making sure all these things are lined up properly will really position you for your business to succeed at this incredible time of year. So I guess if there's no other questions coming in from the chat, I'd like to, of course, open the floor if anybody has anything more they'd like to add. Feel free to follow up with us afterwards. And just thanks again so much for joining us for this 2021 holiday planning webinar. We will be distributing the slides, and please let us know after if you have any questions at all. We're happy to engage with you on them. And above all, just from all of us here at Amplitude Digital, wishing you a super successful holiday to you and your loved ones. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.